Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I've moved off the drill press, and now these stars that we had earlier that weren't working, so that I messed up cutting. I didn't do a very straight job. We'll zoom in a little bit and you can see better. You can see how this is not real pretty. I'm not going to make it perfect, but I can maybe sand it with a little Dremel tool sander device here. Now this is a Dremel tool. It's a small drill with many different attachments, very good for small work. And this little drill press that you can buy extra to use with it. And it's a handy little device. So anyway, I'm going to crank this up. Now we've seen this thing at work before. I did all my whole pre-drilling on some of my earlier projects for this thing. I'm just going to try and smooth out some of the sides so they're a little bit more square. Not much. I'm not going to get it perfect. Now this piece was really bad here. Once it gets on the tree, it's not going to be that much difference. But you don't want to get on a tree and find out it does make a difference after you get the project finished. And somebody walks up and looks at it and goes, "What's that? That doesn't look good. Why'd you do it that way? That looks stupid." And we don't want that kind of response. Of course, if anybody does respond that way, the way to do it, respond to them is go, "Well, make one yourself. You're so fancy pants about these things." But they know, everybody's real nice about this stuff. Okay, I think that's about all I'm going to do on that piece. It still has some of the flaws in it, but it wasn't as bad as it was. But I had 3 that were on there on that stack that weren't real pretty. So we'll do this one. That's one way to fix it, just break the sand the end right off the thing. This collects a lot of sawdust. I got a vacuum. I'm going to clean up a little bit and I'll come back and do some more. Okay. The next piece. That was real clever. I'm sitting there trying to not pay attention, and I sit there and grab it in and chip it off. It's alright. I'll survive. Now I'm just getting some of that old tape that's still on here. You see, that's getting better. Yeah. That's improved. Just kind of took the edge off the tip off the thing, but that's the way it goes. guess that'll do. I have any more? This one needs a little work. This shows you how important it is to get good at making straight cuts when you're using the saw. Because if I cut this correctly and gotten lined up, kept my line better, I wouldn't have had to do all the sanding and creating this mess on my workbench. A lot of things you gotta sand anyway, but no point in having to sand stuff you don't need to. Alright, I think that'll do it. I'm just gonna vacuum out my work area in here a little bit. Well, the vacuumer's getting a workout. The battery's already wearing down. Okay, now we'll go to the assembly part here. That'll be next. Okay, what I've done now is I've finished cutting out all the pieces. I sanded them down a little bit just to get some of the rough edges off them, and sorted them out in kind of the order I want. And I'm going to stack them on my little base and pole that I built. This was the thing I cut out that's round. I sanded it a little bit. Just clean it up a little bit. It doesn't really matter. Well, it does, but it doesn't have to be really that great a piece of sanding and shaping. I just smoothed off the sides a little bit, and I'm just going to assemble these stars. I actually practiced a little bit to see how I wanted to do it. And what I'm going to do, I think I'm just going to put some glue on here. Now I take my little spatula and just run it around the outside of this thing, like so. Then I take my first star, tree branch, whatever you want to call it, work it onto the post. And bring it down there nice and solid. I'll zoom in a little bit so you can watch this a little more closely. Then I'll just go on to the next. Doesn't have to take much glue because this thing's going to be, these things go on there pretty hard. The important thing is to get them lined up. I actually practiced stacking the thing one time, how I want to do it. I'm going to just offset them. So the next one will be lined up with the first one. So this one will be in the same position as the first. And there we go. I'm rotating them to try and mate up the points with the same points that the way I cut it out, even though they're all theoretically the same size. Of course, in my tremendous skill, they didn't come out exactly even. Now I'll go on to the next three. That's one thing about scroll sawing, is it isn't always just scroll sawing, which is what I really like to do, cut things out. But when you add a little variety, you find yourself having to work with different aspects. But it's all part of a learning experience. I've never done anything like this before, so this is a first. You know, building a little wooden tree with a stick, and then building the rest on top of it like a little star-shaped platform. It should be an interesting effect. When I get done, I'm going to paint them.